I am a storyteller, and I want to tell you a story today about something incredible that you have helped to make happen in the world, about a light that Rotary is shining in Afghanistan, and about how that light is getting brighter. 8 years ago, I met the most incredible woman, the most inspiring woman, Razia Jan. Razia grew up in southern Afghanistan. She lived on her grandfather's farm in a big house with her entire extended family. She remembers carefree afternoons picnicking in his orchards, surrounded by apple, peach, and pomegranate trees. It was all the generations sitting together and talking and laughing, the men and women, the boys and girls together. She remembers people listening to what she had to say, just as much as they listened to her older brother. She wasn't considered a second-class citizen because she was a girl. It was a time in Afghanistan very different than today, a time when the capital city, Kabul, was considered the Paris of the Middle East, a place where the finest fashions were available, and wonderful seamstresses who had been trained in France and Italy made beautiful dresses for women, dresses that didn't have to cover their faces, their ankles, or their hair. In the 1970s, Razia decided to travel to America to study. Around that time, the Russians invaded Afghanistan, and Razia stayed on in the United States. She would write home occasionally asking her family, "Should I come home?" Because it was a decade of civil war, and the Russians, when they left, the Taliban swept into the power vacuum that was left behind. When Razia asked, "Should I return?" the answer was no, they said. "Don't even think about coming back. The Taliban will kill you." Afghanistan was no place for an educated woman, no place for a woman who was now raising a young son as a single mother. So Razia stayed on in the United States for 38 years. She became a role model for her son and for her community. She opened her own business. It was a tailoring business that united her skills as an artist and a businesswoman. She worked hard, and then she worked harder. If her values are starting to sound a little bit like yours, it's no surprise. Razia is a Rotarian. It's in her DNA to not only embrace the ideal of service, but to act on it. In time, she became president of her local Rotary Club in Duxbury, Massachusetts. The theme of Rotary this year, which I absolutely love, Light Up Rotary, and the local Situate Club in Massachusetts was kind enough to give me this pin before I left. Razia joined Rotary to be one of those who creates light in our world. She had a chance to see what freedom is like, both in the United States and in Afghanistan. She also knows what it means to be oppressed when her homeland was invaded and the people she loved endangered for nothing more than wanting to live their lives as they always had. When the US invasion kicked the Taliban out of power in Afghanistan, people were free again to laugh in public, to listen to music, to cut their hair in the style they chose, to read books other than the Quran. Women were free again to leave their houses, to go to school. Imagine a world in which women are not allowed to go outside the home, not allowed to work, not allowed to go to school, not allowed to leave the house without a close male relative, or appear in photographs, or even be seen through the windows of their houses. Just think of your mothers, your sisters, wives, daughters living that way. Think of yourself living that way. Razia turned her attention back home, back to Afghanistan, now devastated by decades of war, and changed beyond recognition. When she returned home after nearly 40 years, she visited an orphanage, and it was there that she saw firsthand the disparity between the way the boys and the girls were being treated. The Taliban were gone, but deeply entrenched patriarchal values remained that keep girls from having equal rights, realizing their potential, or even daring to dream. Razia made the decision right then to turn on a light, one light that would change everything. She committed to opening a girls' school in a village that had never had a girls' school before, the little village of Deh'Subz, where the Mujahideen had helped to drive out the Taliban. But where could she turn for support? Where else but Rotary? Rotary, with its mission to support education, save mothers and children, grow local economies, and promote peace. With a significant grant from her local Rotary Club, Razia had the money for bricks and mortar. But I can tell you, after many, many trips to visit her school, what's happening in Deh'Subz village is about much more than bricks and mortar. Inside the walls of the Zabuli Education Center for girls throughout the village and across the country, Razia is teaching a vital lesson. Girls matter. The Zabuli school started with 109 students, and today there are more than 500 girls going to school in grades kindergarten through 12. In the years that I've been filming there, grades K through 5, they've all doubled in size. Girls in Deh'Subz are learning to read and write for the very first time, but their education is going so far beyond the classroom. Girls are learning what it means to become a woman in Afghanistan, how they can use their voice, and how they can be heard. Since I began filming in 2009, I've witnessed the remarkable changes made possible by education. Illiterate fathers who were leery about sending their daughters into the classroom are now expressing pride in interviews that their girls are helping them to read letters, sometimes in English. The leading men in the community, the village elders, who used to refuse to even look Razia in the eyes, now praise her efforts, and they make sure that that school stays safe. Now, the men in the village, they are proud of their girls, but things are changing slowly in this deeply traditional conservative society. These same girls who can now read and write, do math, and use computers are still today being forced into engagements in their early teens, to cousins and to strangers. Early marriage is the #1 reason girls leave school in Afghanistan. But school now also gives them something to fight for. Before Zabuli opened, the girls in Deh'Subz married who they were told, when they were told, as their mothers had before them. They could look forward to nothing more than a life of domestic drudgery. There was no reason not to marry at age 14 or 16. Now they have a reason. Let me stay in school, they implore, and families are saying yes, sometimes driven by a mother who's speaking up in her family for the very first time and wants something more for her daughter. These are conversations that never happened before. Now these girls are living in homes where people are talking about more than one possibility for a daughter's future. The title of my documentary about Razia, the school, and all those who bring it to life is What Tomorrow Brings. And in this video clip, you can see Razia in action. We're traveling with Razia Jan from her home in Kabul city to the little village of Deh'Subz on the edge of Kabul province. She's taking us to the girls' school she started here.
The day before we were opening the school, some men came inside and said, please make it into a boys' school because the boys are the backbone of Afghanistan and they need this help. And I said, well, you know that the women are eyesight of Afghanistan. And I said, unfortunately, you all are blind. Hi, Mimi. Hi, how are you? Hi.
And in a village where all the women wear burqas, Razia stands out. I'm finding mostly for standing up for the girls.
Assalamu alaikum. Stop! Hey! Nani bole ki teflasta? Chand roz ki set shudan ami naam
In a meeting with teachers, Razia tells them to make sure the youngest students quickly learn to write their father's names. Something as small as this can go a long way in making families feel proud and change men's attitudes about educating their daughters.
My name is Zakia, my father name is Mama.
Before the first week of school is finished, That's exactly what first graders know how to do. The village elders come for meetings throughout the year. The religious leaders are here, the mayor. Most of the men in this room send their daughters here, which is an important message to the whole community that this school matters. Still, by the way most of them avoid eye contact with Razia, it's clear they're not used to a woman being in charge.
And their heads were down because my head was way up high, because I wanted to look in their eyes and say that you have to make a change.
Razia has a special relationship with the school's oldest students. She tells them that studying is not a sin and that no one has the right to prevent them from being here. This is the class of 2015, the very first graduating class from the very first girls' school in the village of Deh'Subz, Afghanistan.
I think we are servers. We all have to give to make somebody else feel better. And I think that's what I did, and which makes me very proud and happy. And and now it's amazing that what came out of this, a beautiful school, and I'm so proud of these girls that are there for the past 7 years and getting education and thriving, literally. I mean, that is my joy that I cannot, I think I can't even share with anybody, because I know where they came from and I know where I came from. So that is amazing. Amazing thought and amazing feeling, and I'm so proud of these girls.
Thank you. You heard at the end there, the very first graduating class. And it's true, this November, the Zabuli School will have its first graduation. It's an exciting, awesome, amazing achievement for Razia, for the girls, and for Rotary, which provided the initial funds to make this happen. It's also sobering, because most of the girls who graduate will not be able to go on to college. It's too far away. They don't have access to transportation. Many families simply won't allow their daughters to leave the village. And the bottom line is, even if they did, they can't afford it. 75% of the girls in this school and their families live below the poverty line. That means they live on less than $1 a day. So what happens to them now? These girls who have become an example for young girls all over Afghanistan, an example for their fathers and their brothers, as well as their mothers and sisters. Does their light go out? I'm a storyteller, and I don't want the story to end here. I want the smart, bright girls who graduate from the Zabuli School to have a chance to continue their education. Afghanistan desperately needs female teachers and healthcare workers, and to set the example, light the light for generations that are being born now. The solution is simple, but I think pretty extraordinary. The girls can't go to college. So how about college comes to them? Today, right here, it's Razia's idea and it's revolutionary. Today, right here, right now, I am announcing the Build a School Today campaign. It launched a few hours ago globally. We are committed to building a 2-year women's college in this very same village. Building a college in rural Afghanistan is a first. It has never been done, but it should be. Razia's K-12 school is already the only free private school in the entire country. But this effort to build the college, it's not just about sending the Zabuli girls, the Zabuli graduates, onto college. There's more at stake here. This is about having a living demonstration of the power of knowledge to change everything. This college can be a catalyst for amazing change for the better, for the country, for our world. At this college, girls will have the opportunity to study 3 tracks: nursing, teaching, engineering. These skills will give them an opportunity to contribute in a significant way to their families and to their village. Slowly, slowly, this community is already chipping away at attitudes that keep girls out of the classroom still today across Afghanistan, and I want to help further that journey. It's about having a positive impact on generation after generation, quite literally changing the future. The reality is, a well-educated woman in her early 20s has a much different place in her husband's household than an illiterate 15-year-old, even if that marriage was arranged and even in a deeply patriarchal society. When someone educated speaks to you, you hear them in a different way. They're able to make you hear them in a different way. And when a woman can make an economic contribution to her household because she has a skill that enables her to get a good job, she has to be taken seriously. She shines a light on herself that can illuminate a household, a village, a country, a world. A little bit later this afternoon at 2:30, I'm going to have a breakout session at the Holiday Inn, and I hope you'll come. At the breakout session, you'll be able to see the entire film, the entire What Tomorrow Brings film, and learn more about Build a School Today and what it's really going to take to build this college. There's a saying in Dari that Razia shared with me. Each drop, when it flows, it makes a river. Rotary's investment in girls' education is already growing into that river. In a society as conservative as Deh'Subz, the lives of the girls are not going to change until the people around them, their mothers, their fathers, their husbands, brothers, until they also change. But the changes in these girls that education brings, the confidence, the independence, those changes are changing the people around them in a profound way. And I think about the power of that the changes in these girls are changing the people around them. I think this is what Light Up Rotary is all about. Razia Jan is a person who's not only shining a light in our world into one of the darkest corners, she also is that light. And I ask you, what can we do to help make her light even brighter? I am a storyteller, and I invite you to help me write the end of this story. Thank you.